Okay, we're back at it. We're back in the shop. And by the way, electric receptacle outlets should not be mounted face up. Some of that bootleg cord we were talking about earlier. But this is a sub panel. So that's L1 and L2 should have protective rubber booties. Wasn't required when this old Zensco was installed. So we have open knockouts in the bottom of the box, and we have no connectors, so we got unprotected conductors entering that. We have neutrals and grounds sharing the same bus bar, so energy can go backwards through this. Bonding location is not labeled on this. The bottom breaker does not work. When this panel's on, we have an open knockout spacer at the bottom of the panel. It's not properly labeled, and you have more than 5 throws, so there should be a main service disconnect for this guy. So that, and based on the fact that it's a Zensco, just a replacement's recommended. Replacement's recommended. And so that's it. That's one of the sub panels. Coming on along over here, I'm picking up a few spares. This water faucet handle, no anti-siphon device. This is the main disconnect for the condensing unit. Right there, it looks okay. Could have been prettier. This is the data plate. This is the downstairs system. We're assuming that's the assumption. And so, where are we at on this? Maybe it's the upstairs system. This is the upstairs system, excuse me. So, what I'm reading, and I reserve the right to change my mind, is installed in 2014. But we're going to research that. 2018, excuse me. Alright, and it's 4 tons, and it's 410A is the refrigerant, and the maximum fuse is 35 amp breaker, maximum size. Coming over here, and that's white to white. We got a 50 amp breaker, 250 amp breakers. So it's reasonable to assume that this is overfused. It's a couple years old, and when it was installed, by the way, this line should have been rigid, hard rigid. This soft, that was not in 2015. If this was actually installed in 2018, then all this refrigerant line insulation should have been replaced with a rigid plastic to keep this from happening. And the Schrader valves, refrigerant service ports valves, they should be anti-theft, and that was also required when this was built. And the disconnect is not supposed to be located behind the unit. Coming along here, open knockouts again on this. The label is missing. Label's missing from this. So the manufacturer's specification label. So in essence, it's obsolete. This is a 150 amp service coming to the house. This is a lot of house for 150 amps and 2 sub panels and 2 air conditioners. That's a lot of house for 150. I don't do size and compatibility, but it is what it is. Okay, L1 and L2 should have the protective rubber boots on them. Of course, this is your main neutral that's coming into the structure, and it should have white tape wrapped around that. Now over here on this bus bar, you can commingle the grounds and the neutrals because they're coming back to this bus bar. This is the home run. So whereas I was just telling you that was not allowed in the previous service panel, they are allowed in this service panel. And these tan wires, that's marginal. And these white wires for sure should have been wrapped with black tape, and the bonding location should have been listed inside of here. And we have open knockouts right there, and it's been sealed. So that's about it. We'll get some still images. Also, in that sub panel that we just came from, the screw that holds it on. Oh, let's go look at it. That's what we're here for. These screws that hold this panel on, okay, they can chew up some wires. I can choose. Those are the wrong kind of screws. Moving on along, the drip loop looks okay. Service drop is fine. These communications wires, these lower wires, that's beyond the scope of this inspection. They're marginal. We're back talking about the loose conduit. We're back talking about the corroded conduit, but this is the electromechanical, so just kind of touch base on that. Here's one that's a little off. That post has been cut out of the driveway. That's a rusty old post. That's a Technoshot right there. That's a stub toe. That's stitches right there. Okay, this is the older condensing unit. This is the downstairs one, I'm assuming. The electric conduit's loose. There's the wiring. I'll get a better look at that. I'll get a still image. This is the data plate. 1995. 1995. 25 years old. They're engineered to last 20 years on paper. You might get 25, you might get 35 years out of it. But Las Vegas is going to give you 14. After 14, this unit's done everything anybody ever expected it to do. Anything that it gives you from here on out is a gift. It's a gift. And at 95, at how many years is that? At 25 years, that's about an 8-SEER unit. An 8-SEER unit. So it's very inefficient. The day it was built, it was inefficient. And so what we're going over here is 3.5 tons, and it's R22. R22. So what does that tell us? The other unit is 410. That's the newer refrigerant. This refrigerant in this system is obsolete. It's no longer manufactured in the United States, and it can no longer be imported to the United States. There are stockpiles. It is available. It's expensive. It's very expensive. It's any technician that comes out and helps you and services this place is going to encourage you rightfully to update your system. Now, there are some alternative refrigerants that can go in here, but they're even less efficient than this system is already. They're 15 to 35% less efficient. And once another technician comes in and sees that somebody had put that bootleg, well, it's not bootleg, it's official, but put that alternative stuff in, then they're really probably not going to want to mess with it. They're still going to encourage you to replace it. So I hate to say it, but it's time. It's just time. Then, okay, the loose conduit, the wrong kind of insulation. Of course, that was okay when it was built. Do not have anti-theft Schrader valves again. Okay when it was built. Let's move on along here. Let's go for a little variety. This is the water heater. We don't know where it goes. The TMP drain line. So, see that white right up there? See that white pipe? I can't tell you that it's asbestos, but it's asbestos. And we do not have a thimble. And this closet is not ventilated for combustion. And this is a single wall flue. And that's no longer allowable either. And insulation like this should be going all the way down to these units. Okay, and that used to be for a washing machine. It's on the hot water side. That's weird. We got a port on the hot water side that somebody installed that, most likely to go to the laundry, to the refrigerator. Here's one over here. That one's installed to the refrigerator. And this one, somebody made a mistake, and then they just left that piping there. So that valve not in use should have been removed. We have some galvanized plumbing connections. There's nothing technically wrong. Well, I guess it's technically wrong. It doesn't wear well in this part of the country with the alkaloids that we have in our and calciums and whatever, the chemicals we have in our water does not play well with galvanized pipe fittings. We got a little bit of rust on these fittings right in here. Just like this insulation should have been here. It should also be on the TMP drain line, and the TMP drain line, by the way, this is PEX. PEX should not be closer than 16 inches to your water heater connections. This is cold water PEX right here. So, and this should have been insulated. We do not know where it drains to. This is a 50-gallon system. It was installed in 2006. Okay, so at 20, what we're looking at here, I got it right here somewhere. It's 14 years old. Water heaters last about 10. They last about 10 years. That's how long they last. So this guy's an old man. He's an old man. If he leaked on closing day, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not telling you that it's going to. I'm not telling you that you have to replace it. I'm telling you better budget to replace it. You sure should. 2006 and 50 gallons. This is the gas line coming to it. You should have a different gas valve handle. That one requires a wrench, and if you have an emergency, you should be able to turn that valve with your hand. And this gas piping coming in here, this connector, you should have a sediment trap that prohibits it. It keeps dirt out of the jets. It's an electronic ignition, so we're not going to be able to open that up. So that's that we got. And since this is all part of the water heater, I'll just go right over here for a moment, and we'll probably get back to this again. But that is the hookup for your refrigerator ice maker, and it does not have a connection tray, a safety tray, some people call them. Call it what you will, it doesn't have it. So moving right on along. This is the third sub panel. Right here. See what we got. I believe this one has open knockouts. I'm not sure. It'll be on the report. But we got an open knockout right there in the bottom. L1 and L2. This right here, this neutral should be wrapped with white tape. We got neutrals and grounds on the same bus bar. It's just like in the other one, and the bus bars are bonded. So this bonding bar right here should have been removed. All the neutrals should have been on one side, and then the grounds should have been on another side, bonded to the cabinet. See, bond screw. Bond screw's not even present. So they're sharing bus bars. But they're not even but there's bonding not even present on this panel cabinet. That's crazy stupid. Sorry, but it is. And what's the panel? Oh, and the panel is screwed in. It's screwed to the wall. Okay, screws are faster and tighter. I get that, but screws do not have the tensile strength that nails do. Shear strength that nails do. So if this structure was to experience a tornado, for example, this panel box, this cabinet, would be much more likely to stay, in place if it had been nailed than if it was screwed. And these are electrical. I'll get to that on the interior, but again, you shouldn't have electric service receptacles face up. And then coming on over here, and the other one's identical. You got long leads, and then it's plugged into the wall with a makeshift extension cord, and then you've got, I suppose, electric junctions underneath there. So all this electrical on this wall, I'm calling this the den office study. Maybe it's a bedroom. It's a den office study, and all this electrical along this wall is jiggy. Coming along here, we're almost through. Bear with me. This upstairs HVAC system does not work. It does not work. The thermostat has got corrosion in it. And the batteries were corroded and they're dead. That's my note. Please recycle. They're not my batteries. It's up to me. I'd put them in the car, but I didn't. I put my batteries in this and it didn't work. If the thermostat doesn't work, that's the brains to the upstairs system. So the upstairs system is not operable today. We cannot operate it. We've got a problem with the thermostat. It's malfunctioning. So this system looks like it's 1 year old. So the system outside is 2 years old. It was probably manufactured 2 years ago. It's probably been in place for 1 year. Primary drain line should have a P-trap and should be insulated. Secondary drain line, it's not required. You have a safety switch. Some people call them float switches. Call it what you will. We have a main service disconnect. It's bolted up pretty good. Flue, no flue cap. See those screens up there? Screens are no longer allowed. See how dirty that is? So you're not getting any combustible air. Actually, that's makeup air. You're not getting any makeup air. You're not getting any combustible air because there's none for it. So this thing is not ventilated properly. So what else have we got? This can be soft. Inside it can be soft. It's only outside it's supposed to be rigid. So we got the air filter at. Oh, and the gas valve. Excuse me. We got stuff. We got all kinds of stuff. Okay, it takes a wrench to turn that off if you got an emergency. So we do not have a sediment trap. And see that gray plastic connector? You're always supposed to replace the gas connector when you replace the furnace. Always. Water heater. You're supposed to replace these. That thing hasn't been sold in 20 years. And it's a recognized fire safety hazard. So even if you were allowed to reuse it, it shouldn't have been able to reuse this one. This connector is obsolete and it's a safety hazard. I recommend replacing it. And you should have a sediment trap. And we got some more galvanized piping. So again, not popular in this part of the country. I understand up in the northwest it's okay. That's what I hear. And there's our air filter. You can have a wider one. This is 16 by 25 by 1. And you can put a 4-inch jobber in there. Then we're going to go down here. And the floor should have been lined with a galvanized pipe. Now what's that? What's that pipe go to? That pipe. Oh, I was getting excited. But I'm not through. I'm still a little bit excited. There's a care and use manual. When you have this unit, is this the master bedroom? Is that what it is? Looks like the master bedroom to me. So when you have one of these units in a bedroom closet, this door should be an outside duty door, and it should be insulated so that when it closes, none of the air in that closet comes out into the room. As it is, exhaust from this furnace can come outside of that door, go inside of that vent, come back up in it, and be rebroadcast everywhere this unit services. And because it needs to be an outside door, remember that if this thing blows up on you, catches on fire, and all kinds of horrible, nasty, ugly stuff happens, it's in the bedroom where you're sleeping. So this should be a fire-rated door, or exterior duty door. And was 30-minute fire rating, whatever. So it should be sealed. It should be closed. And then this closet wasn't insulated. It wasn't ventilated properly in the first place. And the ventilation issue should be corrected for this closet. I recommend further evaluation from a technician. Also, if this unit is 1 or 2 years old, I'm not seeing any permits. I'm not seeing any permits at all. So if the seller has a refrigerant license, then in theory he could replace this himself. That being said, anytime you replace an exhaust vent, a gas appliance exhaust vent, a permit's required. Permit should have been, you might be able to get around it. I'm just saying it would have been better for everybody. I wouldn't have all this reporting probably.